This year is dedicated in Europe to volunteers, and many people today devote part of their time to helping others in a whole variety of ways. Some help them in their village, their neighbours at home who need some assistance, do some shopping for them, bring them to the doctor, in a whole variety of ways. For us, the family of St. John of God, we have been very lucky to have many, many volunteers. And I think it's very significant that together with Europe celebrating the year of the volunteer, that the Order is also celebrating the year of the family of St. John of God. And the volunteers make up a very substantial number of the very, very valuable members of this family. There are thousands of people, young and older people, some people in retirement, who devote a part of their time in our centres and services. And that's very important, because many of the people we serve, they require the presence of another. Their families, many of course, their families visit them. There are the co-workers in the hospital or centre that's providing the service. They're always there. But they need somebody to spend some time to sit with them, to be with them, to take them for walks, or in whatever way. There's a whole variety of ways, of course, in which volunteers involve themselves in the work of the Order. Some by raising funds, collecting for days, the fete, which is held in Selbridge every year, for example. That's an annual event, but it takes a whole year to prepare for it, and most of the work, the preparation, is done by volunteers. I could give you many more examples. My own experience in Korea, in Chuncheon, where we have the Centre for Homeless People that we run together with the government. But they give us so much money, but obviously it's not sufficient to do the things that we want to do for the people that we serve that are in the centre. So from the beginning we've been very reliant on our volunteers, and there are literally hundreds of volunteers associated with that particular centre in Korea who do all types of wonderful things and help us to provide a quality of life that we really want to. For the residents there. And of course this is not something that just somebody one day, some brother or some senior co-worker said we need volunteers. This is a part of who we are. It's a part of the hospitality that all of us have bought into, and the gift that we have received. And it goes right back to John of God himself, because John of God was one person. Well, what can one person do, even with goodwill? Really very little. And he had the disadvantage of being marginalized himself, because he was considered to be mentally unbalanced when he began his work in 1539, having been in the psychiatric hospital or psychiatric department, or more like a jail really, in the Royal Hospital, and received the treatment of that day, which was very, very inhuman, we would say today. But having that experience, and then when he came out, he had the stigma, so people avoided him. And yet he had a mission. He had a mission to fulfill. And the mission was to care for the sick and the abandoned poor and the abandoned mentally ill and the orphans of the city of Granada. And he was alone. And when he began, people, as I said, they avoided him. Yet little by little, they gradually saw that this man really had committed his life to caring for the weaker members in society. So they gradually began to help him. And they were all volunteers, because he didn't have any money. He was homeless. He was a homeless person. So he was dependent on others to help him in his work. And they came in their droves. But it wasn't all at once, but gradually it became almost a status symbol to be involved with John in his work, in his mission. And so he was able, when he started he was on his own, and yet when he died 12 years on, the entire city of Granada wanted and were present at his funeral. That will give you some idea of John's personality, of the way he attracted people, the way people came and wanted to be part of what he was doing, and then the way he related with them, that they were partners in mission, and everybody felt it was their mission. And that's what volunteerism is about, being involved at the heart of what is happening and giving oneself totally in the spirit of St. John of God in helping out. In a whole variety. There's so many things to be done when you're running an institution or when you have a service for other people. That the professionals, they do their bit. It's hugely important, but it's only a part of the total picture. So we'll always need more and more men and women who can devote some of their time. Obviously they're not full-time, they come part-time, some devote more time than others, but every moment is important that's giving, because it helps us to fulfill our mission, which is to provide a quality of service, the quality of service to the people we serve, and to do that in the way St. John of God has shown us. So this celebrating this year of the family, the European Year for Volunteers, provides me with the opportunity, in the name of St. John of God, to thank all of our volunteers. So many volunteers across the order. There are literally thousands of men and women, young people and older, senior people, who devote their time to helping all of us to provide a quality, the best that we possibly can, to the person who comes to us. And I think that's a fantastic mission to be involved with, particularly in the world in which there's so many people who feel marginalized, so many people are suffering, there's so many people who feel lonely. A friend of mine, I was talking to him on the phone recently, and he himself is 80 years of age. And he's a graduate of our school, St. Augustine School in Dublin. And he is, as a volunteer, he visits the nursing home, and he is introduced to a person who has nobody to visit, no family member, and he becomes that person's friend. And he accompanies them until they die, and he has done that for years. A wonderful example of what volunteerism is about, giving of yourself, of your time, to help others, to make another person feel that somebody cares enough to come and be with them, and that's what it's about. And I think that on behalf of St. John of God, I want to thank all of our volunteers and to ask you to please continue to offer your support in whatever way you can. And it will vary throughout your life and your circumstances, home circumstances, sometimes your own health. But whatever it is and in whatever way, it is an enormous contribution, because it helps us to continue to provide the quality and the type of service that John of God did for the people that he served in Grenada. So thank you very much indeed. Okay.